Daniel 7:8a, Mistakal Havet Bakarnaya. And that brings us to this Revia. So back to the beginning. This is the Sin Kaf Lamed verbal root. It is a hit pa'al participle masculine singular with a hey vav hey verbal root. It is a pa'al perfect first person common singular, so that together we have a compound tense. I was considering, and we have a bait preposition. We see determined state, it's a plural. I was considering the horns. Now this word sin kaf lamed, considering, is using a bait preposition as sort of a direct object marker. And since it only appears once in biblical Aramaic, we have to go elsewhere to see if there's any other instance in the Aramaic corpus from the ancient world that acts this way. Why bait is the question. So to do this, I'm going to illustrate with Job 37:14. Of course, this is in Hebrew. Hear this, O Job, stop and consider. There's that word, the wondrous works of God. And we see the consider word uses hit polel of the bean verbal root. So it's also a reflexive, but there's no bait for direct object marking for considering what? The wondrous works of God. Now, if we look at the Targum of Job, there is also a reflexive stem on the verbal root, also bean. It's an itpa'al. We see it's an itpa'al because of that aleph there, but also no bait preposition marking the object. Now, the Aramaic in the Targum of Job is called late Jewish literary Aramaic. So it's many centuries after the Aramaic of the Bible. It's a sort of a different dialect. But we can actually find an Aramaic that's closer to the time of the Bible in the Targum of Job that was found at Qumran. It's a different Targum altogether. Also, the words are in exactly the same sequence, and there are some commonalities. But note that hit pa'al imperative with the samic kaf lamed. Now, the samic is standing in for the sin in sin kaf lamed in Daniel 7:8. And what do we see? We see a bait marking the object. Consider the wondrous works of God. And the Qumran Aramaic is much closer in time in the dialect continuum to the Aramaic of Daniel. And here we also see the use of essentially the same verb with bait as the direct object marker. Now, to look up sin kaf lamed, you can use Edward Cook's Dictionary of Qumran Aramaic, and we focus on that particular entry. And in fact, the very first part of the definition points to the text that we just looked at.